Hello you lot. Where would you rather be right now? Look at this. Not a single cloud. A couple over there. Look at this sky. Look at it. You wouldn't think that we're on planet Earth, would you? It's like a view from a different planet, you know. Look at that behind. Blimey. And we're in April, man. It's weird at the moment. It's like the weather forecast says it's 7 degrees. The actual thermometers that I've got in front of me, I've got one over there, is reading 6 degrees. But the sun's out like this, man. And if the wind stops blowing, you can feel the sun. It's amazing. But we're not here to talk about the weather or the sun. We're here to give some serious information for you lot. This is a serious thing, so stop being unserious. Okay, I will. Thank you. John will come by in a minute with Manuel, probably give me a slap round the face and say, stop being unserious. This is a serious matter. Okay, no problem. So, we've got our Nitro car. This is a HSP Tyrannosaurus. We've all seen it because, well, it's part of the videos. So, in the last running in video, what we've done was we've done a couple of tanks ticking over, didn't we? A couple of tanks ticking over. You can, it's up to you whether you do 2 or 3 or 4 tanks ticking over. It's, you know, it depends what kind of a person you are, you know, whether you are the type of person that likes to do things very, very, very properly, yeah, just to make sure, very, very properly, or if you just want to do things well and move on with life. 2 tanks at ticking over is doing things well and then moving on with life, okay? Doing any more than 2 tanks on tick over is doing things very, very, very properly, just to make sure you've done them properly. So I've done 2 because that's the sort of person I am. Let's move on to what we need to do next. So we need to go on and do 2 tanks. Oops. 2 tanks, preferably. 1 will be okay, but we'll probably end up doing 1. On just driving around up to half throttle in a circle, really, to get another heat cycle in. So let's do that, and then we'll move on from there. Now, I have got videos on priming and starting and all that kind of stuff, so although I am going to show it, I'm not going to run through it in great detail. But if you watch carefully anyway, you'll see what I'm doing, and we'll move on from there. One thing that I thought I might mention before, so during this process it's common practice to run it without the shell on, because you may need to get to the engine to do things here and there, plus it's just common practice to run it without the shell on. Some cars, and some cars come with this and some cars don't, but some come with little foam or plastic insert, whatever you want to call them, that go on there to prevent the body from vibrating and things. If you run the car without the shell on, you're probably going to lose these little things. So you can either take them off or put the R clips through the holes like that, and that'll obviously stop them from coming off. Now, I'll mention that because it's something that you might have overlooked and you might not realise. And then you might realise that you've lost 2 or 1 or 3 of them or whatever, and then you might feel a bit upset, because that sort of thing bugs me. You know, if I lose something and I could have prevented it, that kind of thing bugs me a little bit. So, you know, I usually take them off, but for this purpose I'm putting the R clips through, and that way we just save them. And plus, we shouldn't lose the R clips unless we end up doing a flip-a-dip-dip, but I don't think we will. Alright. Hopefully I've got this camera in a good enough position where you can see, obviously because it's on my head, I can't see where it's facing, but I always do my best to try and get it in a good position so you can see. Anyway, so I'm going to prime it this way because bloody this one's got a dodgy, the nipple for the pipe's in a dodgy place, isn't it? So we'll prime it this way. Might have flooded it a little bit. Right, just to let it warm up, we just go up like that, nice and slow, like that, just so we can get some heat in it. Might need to adjust our steering trim. So we're starting to go around in a bit of a circle. And then we just go up and round. Whoops. Nice circles. Morning, you alright? You don't want to go too quick just yet. Make sure we've got plenty of heat in this engine. What's that dog gone? Sorry, it's over there. You will start to notice, I looked over there for a second, you will start to notice it will start to get a bit more power and it will start to wake up as we're doing this. That was about a quarter throttle. Now hopefully it will guzzle through that tank quite quickly. That's a quarter throttle. I'm not doing any more than a quarter. I can go up to half if I want to, really. That was half. Now the reason why I'm not going on the grass, really the grass is better. It's just better. But there's a lot of dews around this morning and my shoes got soaking wet walking down here, so I don't want to go on the grass. I'm staying on this stuff. But if the grass is dry, or if you just don't mind getting dews all over your car, then go on the grass. But I'm staying on this because it's a bit better. Look at the power now. Well, it's serious power. We're getting some serious power going on now. And you just carry on doing that, going round and round and round and round. No more than half throttle, yeah? Do that for 2 tanks, yeah? Let it cool down for a couple of minutes in between the first and the second tank. And we'll come back once I've done 2 tanks. I'm not going to bore you with the whole 2 tanks because it'll take probably about 15 or 20 minutes. Well, probably a bit less, but you know what I mean. But yeah, do it for a couple of tanks and then we'll come back in a minute. Well, I've just finished my second tank doing up to half throttle. And I'll tell you something, it's waking up amazingly. There's just a lot of power in this engine. So when we do come to tuning it, well, it's going to be a cracker. I'll tell you that. This is going to be a bloody brilliant little monster truck for some of you beginners. Anyway, now that we've done the second tank, going up to half throttle, round in our sort of circles that weren't really a circle, I was just going around doing whatever, the odd donut here and there, but around in a circle, doing your half throttle blip on the way back, half throttle blip on the way out, and yeah, just letting it cool down after the second tank, and then we fill it up again and we do 2 tanks. I'm going to teach you 2 tanks, but you can do as many as you want. You can do 1 if you want to. It's not going to be the end of the world. Some people would like you to believe that it's a set thing, that if you don't do this amount of tanks, or if you don't do this sort of thing, it's going to be no good. You're going to ruin it, you're going to destroy it. It's simply not the case. I can't say that in any other way. That's all a load of bollocks. It really is. But you do need to run your engine in. Well, you need to run your engine in. The way that you do it is, you know, there is many ways to skin a cat, and I've used that phrase a lot in this series. It's my little phrase at the minute. I've kind of adopted it. I don't know, I keep saying it all over the place because it's true. I really believe it. Yeah, so I'm going to teach you to do the 2 tanks because I'm aiming this at you lot that know nothing. You haven't got a clue. Maybe you're not even mechanically minded, but you want to be. You want to learn this. This is why I've got to teach you something. Otherwise, you're just going to be like, "What the hell? I haven't learned anything." So this is why I'm teaching you to do the 2 tanks on the tick over, the 2 tanks up to half throttle blips in a circle or an oval or whatever you want to call it, up and down, and another 2 tanks with blips of full throttle. So you go whap, full throttle round, whap, full throttle down, whap, full throttle up, whap, full throttle down. Yeah, and do that for 2 tanks, and then your engine's at a stage where it should be running enough. It's not going to be completely running. It'll keep running in as you're using it. It'll be running in for a while, but it'll be running enough where it can handle having some of the mixture adjusted. That's what it is. You know, a lot of people, some people say, oh, after a couple of tanks, poof, magically, miraculously, it's completely running and it's not going to do any more wearing in at all, which is not true. The whole time an engine is running, it's wearing in. And running in is the first stages of the wearing in. So the whole engine's life is spent wearing in. Yeah, parts wear, bearings wear. But the first stages of the wear is important, because if they don't wear evenly, then the engine won't be a very good engine. It won't be very reliable, and it also won't have very much power. So it's important that we do some kind of process to be easy on it to start with, to get it just wearing together. A bit like your shoes, although it doesn't really matter how you wear shoes in, but you have to wear shoes in, don't you, for the most part? Otherwise, because to start with, they're uncomfortable, they don't really fit your feet very well. You wear them for a few weeks, they kind of adjust to your feet where you wear inside the shoe. It adjusts to your feet, doesn't it? And then they feel better. Similar to an engine, okay? So anyway, enough chatting about that. Hopefully you understand what I'm trying to say. Mine's probably cooled down enough now, so I'm going to go and fill it up again. I'm going to do 2 tanks with the full throttle blips. So let's have a look to see what that looks like. By the way, I probably should mention that I'm running this on 20% Optimix, ready to run. I didn't even buy this. This fuel come with a car that I probably bought years ago, I don't know, and it's just been sitting on the shelf for a couple of years. It was a half bottle, 14th for the 4th 27, so it hasn't, believe it or not, Nitro fuel's got an expiry date on it, but it hasn't actually expired yet. But yeah, I just had this lying around, so I thought I'd use it. But these engines will run on, it says on the instructions to use 16%, which is true for this size of engine. I mean, you typically would use 16%, but they will run on 20, 25, 30, whatever you want to run it on, it'll run on it and it'll be fine. So I wouldn't worry about it. If your hobby shop only has 20% or 25%, don't worry. Just buy it and run it. It's as simple as that. Right, so now, what have I done with the glow starter? It's over here. Let's fire it up again and do the full throttle ones. Might need a bit of help, maybe. What you can do, by the way, if you don't want to give it throttle with the other hand, you can open up the trim on there, and that will give it a bit of throttle. It might want to rev a bit higher though. It might want to rev a little bit when you do that, but you've got to remember they might be a little bit temperamental when they're running in. I'm sure you was a little bit temperamental when you was a toddler, so you've got to think that. Right, let's do our full throttle blips now then. Full throttle, off. Round the corner, 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 full throttle, off. I think my brakes are binding a little bit. Full throttle, off. Round the corner, full throttle, off. Yeah? I think you get the idea. That's full throttle. Round the corner, full throttle, off. Round the corner, full throttle, off. Yeah? I think you get the idea, don't you? So do that for 2 tanks. Right, so I've done that for 2 tanks. I've just filled it up again because while I'm here I'm going to film the next video, which is tuning, but that's going to be the next video. So a couple of things to mention. You might start to realise that as it's running in, the mixture that the carburetor's set to from the factory is for running in, so that's quite a rich mixture. Well, it should be anyway. Sometimes they're not quite right, but this one seems to be okay. It's quite a rich mixture. So as it's running in, you might realise that when you first start it up, it wants to tick over, it wants to be quite a high tick over, and it wants to tick over quite nicely. But as you're driving it round, when you come in for to stop, it doesn't want to tick over anymore, it just stops. And you might be getting quite frustrated with that, but it's okay, don't worry about it, we'll fix it. And everything can be fixed. It's normal, because the engine's wearing in, not to mention it's hot now, but it's also wearing in. So that mixture that was okay when it was tight and it was running in is not really okay now, it's starting to wear in. So it's just not going to run very well on that mixture, which is why we do a bit of tuning. A lot of people think that the tuning part is just to get it to be faster and better performance, which it is in a way, but also it's just to get it to run better, because as the engine wears, it needs a different mixture, a different air to fuel ratio. How can I explain that? Like you, for example, when you was a baby, you ate baby food, yeah, because your stomach couldn't handle proper hard solid food that we eat as we're older. So you had to eat baby food, mashed up bits and bobs and whatever else. And then you grew a bit and your stomach wore in, it grew and it wore in and it got better. So then you was able to have more solid food. Same thing with an engine. When it's new and it's tight and it's not been used, as your stomach hasn't been used when you're a baby, really, it has to be on a certain air to fuel ratio, a certain food. When it's running a bit, now it's a toddler, as you were when you were a toddler, you could eat solid food. Now we can adjust it over to solid food by adjusting the mixture. Yeah, does that make sense? So thanks for watching. I hope that's helped you in some way. And as I say, if it won't tick over very well now, don't worry, just keep the throttle on a little bit, keep driving it round, and then go on to the next video, which I'll release just after this one, so that you, if you're following along with this, you haven't got to wait very long. I'll probably release it maybe the next day or the day after, so you haven't got to wait very long. And we'll get it running, we'll get it tuned so that you can actually drive it nicely. Thanks for watching, take care, treat people nicely, don't take people for granted, and we'll all have a very nice happy life together. This is a bloody brilliant monster truck, and if you bought one of these and you're following along, I think you're going to have a good old car to go for very many years. Cheerio, you lot, all the best.